Well, China's famous Shaolin Temple has become embroiled in scandal after it was announced on Sunday that its top monk was under investigation for embezzlement and maintaining relationships with multiple women. It's not the first time Shi Yongxin has come under scrutiny for his conduct, with local media reporting he has faced claims of misappropriating funds and fathering multiple children in the past. Let's get more on this with ANU Department of Pacific Affairs Fellow and co-host of the Little Red podcast, Dr. Graeme Smith. Graeme, good to have you back on the program with us. Now, firstly, how serious are these accusations, particularly of improper relationships with women, given he is, Shi Yongxin is a Buddhist monk who heads up such a high-profile establishment?
Look, I think in some ways those are the least of his problems. I think the embezzlement issue is more of an issue. Chinese Buddhism, people are fairly flexible about these things. Like, if they have a mistress on the side, there's a bit of understanding, like there is in some churches. But stealing money from the temple and stealing money from projects, I think that's going to see him disappear from the scene.
Yeah, so he heads a 1,500-year-old establishment, the Shaolin Temple. But why is he known as CEO monk?
Look, that's very much his own persona. So he's about 60 years old. He's been around for a long time. And he kind of came to prominence in the Jiang Zemin era, which was a bit Wild West. And there's this movie called Big Shot's Funeral, starring Donald Sutherland from about 2001, where literally everyone is on the make. And he claims to be the first monk in China to get an MBA. And it's his whole persona. Like, I'm an entrepreneur, I make things happen. And he really has made things happen. There's more than 40 Shaolin enterprises overseas. It's huge throughout China. And, he's the face of it.
And is that why, there's this whole idea of Shaolin Buddhism, monkhood and martial arts has been thrust into the international arena?
Look, I think that's probably got a bit more to do with, Jackie Chan and Jet Li
Sure.
and Bruce Lee and people like that. But, he definitely has made the Shaolin Temple brand a big part of China's soft power push. And we all focus on the infrastructure and this and that, but culture has been a huge part of that. And all of these developments are always wrapped up as cultural projects, including one in Australia, just south of Nowra, which is worth $370 million.
That's a huge amount. But can you tell us, Graeme, why has he also been seen as such a controversial figure, before these accusations came to light?
Yeah, so they're very similar to accusations that came out in 2015. And back then it was this insider with the same surname as him who was posting these things on social media in China, the embezzlement, the multiple mistresses, illegitimate children. So this guy posted a birth certificate online claiming this was his illegitimate child. And it was big. It was investigated for about 2 years. And then the provincial authorities said, look, nothing to see here. Question mark, did he get to the provincial authorities? Because these are the same allegations and they seem to be true.
Yeah, because he did hold a fairly senior post in government, isn't it? In the NPC, he was a deputy in the National People's Congress. So the question is, how closely was he tied to the Chinese government?
Yeah, I mean, was always my question. We had a podcast about this that came out a week ago, and my question was, look, how has he kept this position? And it's about loyalty. He's been very loyal to the regime. He's survived Jiang Zemin, the Hu Jintao era, and now almost the Xi Jinping era. And he essentially delivers what the government wants. He sells China's brand very, very well. But unfortunately, these allegations, I think, probably got a little bit too widespread. And Xi Jinping, the morality thing is very serious. He's himself quite interested in Buddhism. So I think anything that tarnishes, that smacks of corruption, they have to crack down on. And corruption plus Buddhism, Xi Jinping takes that quite seriously.
Yes, and I'm wondering whether that direction came right from the top, given the sort of anti-corruption purge that Xi Jinping is on, and also given I saw reports as well that he wants to sort of target any sort of ostentatious behaviors from members of the CCP, particularly targeting luxury meals at luxury restaurants.
Yeah, and I mean, Xi Jinping has this very interesting attitude towards Buddhism. He made this speech at UNESCO more than 10 years ago now, where he really talked up Buddhism. And he's meant to be atheist, but the way he was talking it up, you'd think he's a believer. His wife is said to be a believer. His mother was given a Tibetan Buddhist burial. So the family is associated with it. And even his father was involved in trying to bring Tibetan Buddhism back into China. So it's a family affair with Buddhism.
Yes, as far as Shi Yongxin is concerned, given the high rates of conviction in China's court system, things are not looking very good for him, are they?
Look, it's a conviction rate well above 99%. You don't get charged until all the ducks are lined up. And I fear in the case of the CEO monk, they're not going to want for material to bring on trial. The question will be, I mean, he has met everyone from the Queen to Nelson Mandela. He's going to be linked to some pretty senior people, so it's not quite the Epstein files, but certainly there'll be a few people erasing photographs of themselves with the CEO monk, I'd say.
Okay, we'll see what happens with these Shi Yongxin files. But lastly, Graeme, how sacred is the Shaolin Buddhist establishment considered in China? And do you think this scandal has done anything to shake its foundations?
Look, I mean, I think that's partly why we're seeing this, is they don't want to damage this brand because it's so useful to the party internationally. The party works with Shaolin enterprises abroad in a way that makes it look cool. Chinese embassies don't look cool, but if you do aid work through a Shaolin institution, it's somehow much more acceptable. So they don't want to damage this very useful soft power tool.
Okay, Dr. Graeme Smith, it's always cool to have you on our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Girish.